Welcome back to the Keeping the Dream Alive podcast. Today I have the opportunity to sit down with Elizabeth Phoumavong of Torch Technologies. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have
Happy
this
to be
conversation today. To begin, so we're talking about the EMWC here at Torch. To begin, what is the EMWC?
So EMWC is Employee Morale and Welfare Committee. A lot of people say EWC, EPC, but it's EMWC.
Yeah, and talk a little bit about why the EMWC is an important part of Torch's culture.
So when you talk about culture, first, I want to just say that Torch culture, I know, has been a really hot topic in several of your podcasts because of how valued it is at Torch and how it's one of the major foundations that Torch was built on, right? So there's so many words that can describe the Torch's culture, but one thing that I always say is Torch culture reminds me of family. So the first day you walk in, you're welcomed, and then after that, you're treated like family. But, since Torch encourages work-life balance, and to promote that, they allow EMWC, Employee Morale and Welfare Committee, to organize so many different fun family events and also events for our employee owners throughout the year.
Yeah, and so talk a little bit about some of those events. I know two of the major events is the employee picnic and the adult Christmas party. Talk a little bit about how these events kind of came out and how they've grown and changed over the years. I mean, Torch has grown substantially over the years, and so I bet those parties have gone from being a more intimate sort of picnic or holiday party to now being a pretty big event that people in the company look forward to.
Absolutely. So when I first started a little over 11 years ago, when I planned these events, we had 200 to 300 employees. And so they were a little bit easier to coordinate and to plan. Now we have 600 to 800 attendees at some of these events. So there's a little bit more logistics that go into it. And of course, it's not a one-man show. So it's not just me planning and organizing. There's committees and subcommittees and so many volunteers. And let me just tell you one thing, employee owners at Torch, they know how to volunteer. We get so many, hand raises saying, I want to volunteer. And sometimes we have to say, we filled all those spots, but, what about the next event? So that's always a fun thing to do for our employee owners is to volunteer at these events. And it's a really great time to step away from your office and your work and to just kind of mingle and engage with some of our other employee owners that we don't see normally every day, and also their families. But, a unique part of the Torch culture is that we share the culture and the value with our community that we live in. And so a lot of our events, our family picnics, our Christmas parties, we're actually having a fall festival in about 2 weeks on Torch campus. We do a lot of donation drives. So one year, we could be collecting hygiene products for one of our local charitable organizations, or we could be collecting shoes. I know for our fall festival, the committee, we couldn't decide on which one. So we're actually going to do 3. We're going to do a coat drive, a canned food drive, and also pet supplies for our local animal shelter. Wow. So we really do. We really incorporate all of our events with our community as well.
Yeah, and it's an incredible just to see that dynamic works so well and how it's grown over the years. When you first started to now, these events are huge events, and you're able to then have such an impact in the community that we live in, which is a huge part of the conversations we have on here. It's a huge part of the culture and the creation of Torch Technologies at the beginning was to give back to the community that allowed you to get to where you are today.
Exactly.
And so there's a wide assortment of events that y'all do, besides just some of the main ones, the holiday parties, the stuff like that. But the committee is as a whole it kind of has its hand in a lot of different things, and it's not a one man show, like you said.
Right.
Talk a little bit about what that committee size looks like, and then as the company continues to grow, there's probably more interest you're getting from people wanting to join and be a part of the committee. So how does that kind of work?
So at the top corporate level of the EMWC committee, we do have 6 plus myself. And they help me with a lot of like the spark plug events, which are the non-major events.
Mm-hmm.
So the ice cream socials during the summer, we have a Halloween ice skating party at the ice rink. We rent out an entire trampoline park,
Mm-hmm.
so all of our employee owners and their families can come and enjoy a night. But even with all those spark plugs, if you think about our major events like the Christmas party, the children's Christmas party, which is our infamous 2-day Christmas party, um, I actually have assigned business units and groups to form a committee themselves,
Okay.
and they actually lead those. So I just provide a little bit of oversight and I provide them a budget, and then they come up with the theme and the decorations. And most of the time, the venues are already set because for a size that we are today,
Mm.
there's very few venues around town that can accommodate us. We have to think a lot about the convenient location in our area. We have to think about the parking aspect and some of our vendors. So there's a lot of logistics to think about. But some of our business units join in, they form a committee, and they actually do all the planning, and they take the action and decorate and get the party ready, send out RSVP links, and scout out volunteers. So they do a lot of the heavy lifting here on some of these big events.
Yeah, it's incredible because it is one of those, like, all these events, all lead back to the ultimate purpose of creating this family that you talked about at the beginning of the
Absolutely.
podcast. You're able to reach somebody in the summer at an ice cream social when their kids are out of school. You're able to Halloween get dressed up, go ice skating. You have all these different events that are unique, but then you also have all these employee owners that are eager and willing to lend their time and efforts to make these events possible. As if someone's listening and maybe they just started working here at Torch, they're just kind of getting involved. Maybe they've only been here a couple of years. How is the best way for them to reach out and be a part of this committee, find out more information, and get involved?
So they can always email me or call me to see, if there's any events coming up. A lot of time, the business units, when they are leading an event, they usually send out emails within their groups to, ask for volunteers, or if anybody's interested in becoming, part of the committee itself or the subcommittees. So if they just check their emails, and if they see emails from corporate saying that there's an event, they can always reach out to the POC person on that email and find out more information as well.
Awesome. So as Torch is continuing to grow and the size of these events have become bigger and bigger, but a big part of it too with Torch's growth has been the field offices. How do you kind of get the field offices and have them kind of have a voice into this committee and kind of the work you're doing so that they get involved too? Because there is so many people outside of just Huntsville that are employed by Torch Technologies.
Right. So I do have a lot of EMWC POCs that I reach out to at these field offices. And, of course, a lot of their events, cannot mirror Huntsville's because, every location is a little bit different geographically. Some of them have employees that live and they have to, drive an hour to work. So after work, they don't want to go home, pick up their family and come back. That's a 2-hour commute, right? So they come up with really creative ways, and I help them by giving them some ideas. A lot of times they may want to do like a breakfast in the morning for their employee owners. They may do like a lunch barbecue during the day so that the employee owners don't have to leave, their offices. I've known that up in the New England area, they go to the White Sox game one day. And then down in Shalimar, they have family picnics on the beach. They also go and watch the Blue Wahoos, which is their baseball team down there. And then, we have San Antonio and Dayton and Montgomery, and they all do a little bit of different, activities. And we try to encourage, the Christmas parties every year. I think that's really important. And a lot of them send us pictures, and they do a really great job in organizing and decorating and planning. So that's kind of how I keep some of the field offices engaged, is just by having that one contact that I contact for all the information.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today. It's incredible just to see all the different elements that Torch Technologies has. We've had a variety of different people on the podcast talking about different committees and different organizations that are all really ultimately going back to the goal of creating this family that Torch Technologies is. I appreciate you being here today. We'll have everything in the episode notes, and if anyone wants to find out more information. So thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.